February 8th, 2023. Roll call, please, Pat.
Derek Gander,
Present.
Donnie Greenlee,
Here.
David Weaver,
Present.
John Hurd,
Present.
Riley Hartwell,
Here.
Brent Jordan,
Present.
Jeff Coe,
Present.
and Abigail Eckert. Present. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you all please stand if you can and join me in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Riley. It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, okay, that passes. First up, we got board president report. We got some celebrations. All right, first up, talk to the animals. No, it's not the high school, but the drama club at North Middle School recently presented Dr. Doolittle to student community audiences. The students were involved in all aspects of the production and began rehearsals back in October. The North Middle School students put their hard work and amazing talents on the test and did an amazing job entertaining audiences. So fantastic. Next up, Honest Abe. The kindergarten and first grade students at Irving had a very special visitor in February. Abraham Lincoln stopped by to talk about life in the 1800s and how that history impacts us today. Many thanks to Kalan Hubbard with Hubbard Realty Group for the dramatic presentation. Next up, FTC Workday. About 125 students participated in FTC's 7th graders go to work day. The students toured and had hands-on experience in welding, culinary arts, construction, nursing, engineering, TV audio, greenhouse and animal agriculture, early childhood education, and manufacturing programs. Students learned how stepping into career and technical education classes at FTC can launch them into exciting futures. It's nice to get out of the classroom and see some hands-on. And then last up, the Joplin Esports Booster Club hosted its first regional fundraising tournament, the Eagles Lair, for the JHS Esports team. Players filed in from all over the nation, including Texas, South Carolina, South Dakota, and New Mexico. 150 players packed the gym to compete for a chance to beat the 20th ranked player in the world. JHS entertained players of all skill levels, including kids as young as 8, high school, college, and professional level players. The event was sponsored by Gameco, Arvest Technology Center, AG Parts, Dell Technologies, and Rolled Up Printing. The Booster Club was able to raise over $4,800 for the JHS esports team, giving them the funds needed to participate in-person, regional, and state this year if they qualify. The JEBC plans to make this event a semi-annual fundraiser. So we've got some of those folks here with us tonight, so congratulations. If you haven't seen it, it was fantastic to see our Kaminsky gym lined with tables and players all around the perimeter and up along the walkways. Fantastic job, and everybody turned out to support the new activity that we've got going on. So welcome to the Eagles family. All right.
All right.
Next up.
Okay, superintendent's data report. First off, we have Abigail here with us, our advisor, our student advisor, to give us a little update about what's been going on.
So I have some celebrations from the high school. First up, the high school student council partnered with the Community Blood Center of the Ozarks on Friday, February 17th to host their annual blood drive. Our goal was to hit 75 donations, and we hit that right on the mark, so that's pretty good. It was successful. High school students donated along with a few teachers, but the student council members acted as blood buddies with the donors. We had some kids pass out refreshments at the canteen, and they ran passes all day. At the beginning of the month, we had students participate at the district FBLA and DECA competitions. Those are both business marketing clubs run at the high school. Almost everyone that participated did earn a medal or they placed. We will have 18 students moving on to the state competition for FBLA and 31 students move on to state for DECA. I am going to state for both of those. Last year, we had about 11 kids go to state for DECA, so we're seeing an increase in numbers. It's amazing. One of our kids, even senior Taylor Colson, she wrote a paper about JoJo's, the coffee shop at the high school. Her paper not only is going to be judged at the national DECA competition, but it helped JoJo's get recognized as a gold level certified business. It's pretty cool. And then last up, we have a state recognized artwork. This is senior Georgia Stone. She created, I put it in the corner there. It's a picture of a horse. You can't see it very well, but it's a digital art piece. It was recognized by Senator Carter to represent all of the Senate District 32 schools. It'll be up in the Capitol on display for this next year. There's going to be a ceremony in late March, putting that up there. So yeah, that's all I have.
Very good.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much, Abigail. Okay, Dr. Mwangi.
Yes, Chris and Katie are coming up, and then I think we have a quick video to share. So this month we're focusing on our collaborative teamwork, and so Katie and Heather Van Otterloo put together a video just to kind of give a summary, and then Chris is going to hit a data point for us. So we'll kick off with the video.
Additionally, the support that our veteran staff has been able to provide to. Good evening, and thank you for your time tonight. My name is Katie Hall, and I'm the assistant principal over at South Middle School, and I also work with our middle school English Language Arts department in the district. This year, Dr. Heather Van Otterloo, our department chair, and I have had the privilege of working with our department in collaborative teams, and I'm excited to share their hard work with you. Here, you will see our timeline for collaborative team development this year. We wanted to make sure that we were being very intentional with our time and that our focus was aligned with the district's strategic plan. Our department chose assessments as our main focus area this year in order to best prepare our students for the math assessment in the spring. Our department then divided into grade level collaborative teams to align our current reading and communication arts assessments with math release items. Based off of feedback from our teams, Dr. Van Otterloo and I also met one-on-one with each grade level team in order to review specific student performance from the math, NWEA, and our common formative assessments to make sure that we were tailoring our instruction to student needs. The next two slides contain feedback from our ELA department members about our collaborative time this year, and the response has been very positive. According to their feedback, our collaborative teams have made strides in creating and reviewing district assessments, and then also being able to compare our current assessments to math content that we've received. Additionally, the support that our veteran staff has been able to provide to our new staff has developed a sense of community where ideas and best teaching practices are shared. As we begin to plan for the future, our ELA staff would like to further use collaborative time to work with our 9th grade staff in order to best prepare 8th graders for that transition to high school, and additionally prepare them for the intercourse assessment that they'll take in their English 2 classes. Our staff would also like to continue to use collaborative time to review math data as students complete it and continue to address areas of growth.
Yeah, so we pulled a few data points from our NWEA benchmark assessments. And specifically, we've seen some areas of reading and language usage where we're trending in the right direction. So we're making some positive changes. Our 6th grade winter norm was 214, or our RIT score was a 214 with the norm being 213. So we're above some of the national scores in the areas of reading and language usage. 8th grade, our fall to winter scores, again, trending upwards with the national RIT being 215. So we're well above that as well. So we're moving in the right direction in our areas.
Some intentionality with language usage on that particular sub area of addressing that and seeing some of those numbers trending upward.
Yeah, the use of our collaborative teams as well as some other resources we put in place to help identify some of those deficiencies and address them have really shown to be effective with no red ink and just some of the planning days that we've had together. So.
Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think you.
She did the hard work ahead of time.
So,
She is a video.
Thank you.
so a question, and that Sarah, or maybe I will answer this. Would you say that those higher scores in terms of ELA in the NWEA would translate to the MAP tests as well?
Yeah, I would say we're working towards that alignment. That's where a lot of our collaborative team work is happening. And so those who may not be familiar, the general public who may not be familiar, we added back in collaborative teams this year. It's one of our strategic goals that our teacher teams, we're intentionally making sure that we planned and put that in. That also contributes to the school calendar. Why are the dates where they are at on a school calendar? Because that's when these teams get together after benchmark windows, after quarterly assessments. And so when they're coming together, what do these dates look like? This is just a sample of what that work is, and making sure as we're monitoring data and we're intervening on what we need to do, that it's tightly linked to state assessment. Yes. Yeah.
Our big question was, how can we align our assessments to MAP verbiage, to a MAP environment as much as possible? And during those collaborative times when we've been able to meet with specific grade levels, that's what we've tried to address. And those pictures that you saw were from, we were looking at MAP release items from the state, and we were looking at questions to, so those staff members are making sure that the questions students are reading are straight from the release items from the state. So that way, when they're exposed to the MAP test, hopefully that has become a habit for them. And as we're looking to the future, we want to make sure that every item of instruction from that work, as soon as students enter the classroom, to their just basic informal check-ins, when we are aligned to the MAP assessment. So hopefully we can continue to see that growth.
Great. We've also had people actually participate in some of the MAP item writing. So they've come back and shared a lot of that information with us. Good.
It's been a busy year with collaborative teams and middle school ELA. Reason why we're highlighting them tonight. They've done some really great work this year.
So before we reintroduce this, how was every teacher on their own?
So we had a lot of, the high school is unique because they're in one place. And so they have continued to have departments and department heads and department meetings. It's really difficult when you have 10 elementaries and 3 middle schools when we're trying to get everybody on the same page. So they worked within their site, but as a district, we have tried to come back to build a system of collaboration across. Katie leads all middle school ELA during those district times when they get together, not just South ELA. And so Heather is our department head for that across all ELA. And those are new that we added this year as well for PK-12.
It's critical to our success. I just can't say it enough. And I appreciate the teachers' work in doing that. What we do is the curriculum, how we do it is what they're talking about. We have to have both of those on focus, on the mark, and the teachers are really working hard toward it. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Casey Dorton is here, and she was just going to talk a little bit about looking ahead at Franklin Tech and some different things, that CTE programs and things that she's been observing, and then talk a little bit about an internship program that we talked about here at one point in time, and we talked about over several years. Just talk about what that might be like in the future if we study it.
So first off, kind of looking at our FTC programs, where we're at, very surface level conversations taking place at this point. I'm still trying to get a senior class graduated. So just kind of talking to the counseling department at FTC, just looking at future outlooks and programs that are always super full in enrollment, and you have to turn kids away at that point, which we never want to do, and our industry needs them around town. So we're always looking at that, what is sustainable in our building long term, but what is sustainable community-wide. So I wouldn't ever want to look at adding something if the community doesn't see a future outlook for that, especially in this area. So a couple of our programs that are always super heavy in enrollment are welding and computer science programs. So in future, if we were ever looking at expanding anything, those would be two that would probably be at the top of the list. And there would be expenses in that, but those would be at the top of our list. And So as we're looking at those expansions, also, one of those things we can qualify to increase our APR points with those career and technical education expansions. Not only for us, but I believe our sending schools could count that as well. So that's a plus for not only us, but our area schools. Another one we kind of discussed was our early childhood program, and I know we expanded that to a second year this year, but there's always a possibility you could add a second year course as more of a teacher prep path. So maybe somebody's going more into like a, maybe not early childhood route, but maybe more the teacher route. So that could be an option. Always looking at our health science programs and the opportunities for expansion in those areas. We currently offer a CNA program, but there are things that we could expand as far as phlebotomy and CNA and things along that lines to serve our local health industry. And then just talking to our teachers, even some of them today, diesel technology, we're a hub between 49, the 49 interchange and the 44 interchange. We are centrally located in the nation, and what we could serve our area industry as far as getting some kids trained in that diesel technology program and maybe getting some apprenticeships in that. And then and these are people thinking out loud, looking at like your criminal justice program, which would be like a fire science, police academy type intro, cosmetology. One of my teachers today they had just been to a conference, and there was a whole program just on motorcycle. And so I immediately said small engines, and he said, no, Casey, it's motorcycles. You're talking about tearing apart a motor, like an engine of a motorcycle, and looking at all the intakes and everything on that. And so that program would look at like UTVs, your four-wheelers, those kinds of things. So those are all things that like could be possibilities in the future, not something that's to say, hey, we need this now, but there's a lot of things we could do and look at in serving our community and our students. So those are some FTC things for the future. And then as we kind of look at like professional studies programs within the high school, there's always a lot of opportunity for our kids and our teachers and our area industry. And sometimes we just need a little extra to get there. So kind of looking at professional studies for just business and industry, and the things we already have. So we have a lot. We have an amazing business and marketing program in our school. And so kind of diving into that, if we kind of went the business industry program route, we can have some additional staffing to support that as far as like an instructor, a full-time instructor, a part-time curriculum coordinator that could assist in like the internship piece, just developing those industry partnerships that which we need to be able to get kids out in the community. There's a lot we can look at our current curriculum offerings in the high school, and then just kind of check and balance of seeing what else we would need to make that successful. It would involve maybe some space that we could have within the high school, maybe Franklin Tech, and then a lot of professional development on training people on pathways and what that takes to be successful in implementing that dual credit piece, along with that industry partnership, getting kids out in that job shadowing experience. I would much rather a kid go to a place in high school and figure out that, yeah, that's what I want to do, or that's definitely, I'm glad I didn't go to college and get to that point and start spending money on something that I realize now after just going on an internship or a job shadow experience a couple times that that's definitely not the route I want to go. So serving our students, which long-term serves our community well. So getting our kids out there in the community and seeing what we have to offer locally can also help sustain our community and keep our kids home. So I don't know. I have a lot of like implementation plans and stuff. I don't know as if that's really necessary today, but just really upfront thinking of our business marketing We have 2 great PLTW programs in engineering and biomedical science. Just the opportunities we could use within those and pushing them out further, so.
Very good.
Any questions on anything?
Very good.
Well, just a question I have is, so as you look at the whole business and industry and partnering in the community, and I love the idea too of getting kids out for the internship. I mean, you probably got a little bit of a outline of a framework of how to do that. So I mean, just an ask I would have is come back to the board with, hey, here's what I need, here's the mechanics this looks like, and what kind of timeline can we put that on, to really get that moving. I think that's very important. I think you call it out too. It's, for a young student to go down a path, spend a lot of time, energy, and money, and then realize, hey, that's not what I want to do. I think there's 2 sides to that coin. Both are positive because I can figure out what I do want to do, and I can also say I don't want to do that after I've looked into it.
Right.
But I think that's a great touch point type program that gets us out in the community also. It helps our kids.
So anytime we're looking at like adding that framework at the high school, we're always, looking at what the community needs first of all, and developing those advisory groups, just to see the need. Initially we'd be surveying students in the community and that, and then from that point, develop a curriculum framework of what this looks like and the program pathways, like what classes are you going to take at the high school to meet this need, and developing that framework for each of those specific programs, kind of based on the career path they would be choosing. And then like in November, we're sending new course requests to the Board of Education. And then you're looking at recruitment big time, and because enrollment's right now. And it is, we're about done at the high school with enrollment. So it moves fast. So a 6 to 12 month leeway before you're actually implementing something to that caliber. So it's big.
That would be great to see that on a timeline of when each decision point needs to be made to hit the enrollment date. If it's November that you need to know,
Yes.
and you have to have it 6 months before that. Okay, all right, so now we're into July. It comes quick. Is that something that you see as achievable, or is that a much longer timeline to develop something? And I know you're kind of in a special situation because she's moving over, but she's still taking care of the seniors this year. So that scheduling, at least you don't have to worry about scheduling for the seniors this year.
Correct.
So you're freed up in that respect, but you know how tight it gets being a senior. There's not a lot of room for electives once you get so far down the line.
I think just knowing the great programs we have in place in the high school makes this so much easier. Allowing them to have that support person that can initiate some of those conversations. We're educators. We don't always fully understand what business and industry wants and needs. We try, and that's why we have those advisory meetings and those partnerships. So just having that person to kind of initiate some of those things, especially with our local colleges and universities, talking those dual credit talks and how that framework works within the school, or if somebody's traveling, and just initiating those conversations would be a big support for our programs we have in place, and then adjusting our courses as needed to meet that pathway need for that particular program. So very doable.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you very much.
Carrie, you were the principal at Joplin High School for a significant period of time, and probably 2012, 2015 possibly, we had career pathways in Joplin schools, and that was an initiative of Dr. Bessendorfer and others. Can you speak to some of the historical implications of what that process looked like?
We really, during the whole duration of the time of the tornado, what I call the tornado, before we were back into a building that was ours, it took us, as we built the curriculum, it took us at least a couple of years to do that. And then we were in the implementation stage, my first 2 years. as principals. So I would say a 3 to 4 year process, at least for that, but that was the whole school combined. And we started down the career academy road, and we found out that we wall-to-wall career academies, which is another complicated story, would not work at Joplin High School, but more of a emphasis on the pathways with Franklin Tech. That was our real good partnership there with Franklin Tech, where we could expose kids all over the place. And then the transitions class was put in, and that took a year to 2 years to implement, where a lot of these different things were emphasized by teachers as well as the counselors. And so yeah, it's a multi-year process to come comprehensively, but to put something like this in place, at least a year to probably 18 months, I think would be a good study time.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Toft.
Okay. Our health and dental, for the first 7 months, we spent $4,137,112.81. Kind of comparing that to last year, we had spent $4,123,602, so very, very close to the prior year. We do have 12 more participants in our medical plan this year than last year at this time, and 26 more participants in our dental plan. Any questions on health and dental? Okay. Moving on to financial then. With the December and January are big collection months of our local taxes, which is the bulk of our funds that we get for the remainder of the year. So we have a very good opportunity to invest in our MOSIP and NOCAT. And at the end of January, we had $76,927,882 invested, with rates ranging from 2.98% to 5.03%, which is boosting our interest revenue, which you'll see later on in the budget adjustments that I'll be bringing to you. If you look at page 4, the condensed financial statement, we're very comparable to the prior year as far as percentages. Dollar amounts, not so much with the bond refinancing that was done last year. That makes those prior year numbers quite a bit higher, but the percentages are pretty similar to the 2 years. Any questions on the financial?
We have healthy reserve balance.
We do. We do. But it is always at this time of the
Right,
year.
beginning of the year, yeah. And
Yes.
it's good to have that invested,
Yes.
received at the beginning of the year, but then have it invested over the 12 months that we spend it.
Correct.
So, sounds great. All right. Moving on, public comments. We have no public comments this evening. Okay, next up, we've got the consent agenda.
I move to approve, the consent agenda as presented.
Second. All right. A motion by Riley, second by me. Okay, there. Please vote.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that motion passes. Thank you. Then we're up, regular agenda, resolution authorizing the appropriation of funds for the purpose of redeeming the March 1st, 2031 maturity of the district's outstanding series 2013 bonds.
Okay. Our Series 2013 bonds have a call date of tomorrow, March 1st, 2023. And so we're bringing tonight the opportunity to pay down $3.4 million on those portion of the 2013 bonds that will mature on March 1st of 2031. And those have a coupon rate of 4%. The ability to do this is due to our increased assessed valuation from 2013 up until the present time, and plus the max or the ability to invest and have interest rates on some of that has brought in additional funds for those pay down. The yearly interest rate on these bonds is around $136,000, just this series of the ones for maturing. And so by doing this defeasance, we will save approximately $1,051,000 through the 2031 date and that's net of fees. So the administration recommends the board approve this resolution.
I make a motion, we approve the resolution.
I'll second. The main thing we see here is saving the district interest expense. I think that's phenomenal. Get it paid.
Motion by David, second by Derek. All right, any discussion? Please vote.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that motion passes. We're all in agreement to save some money. Thank you. Appreciate it, Sean.
Okay.
Next up, we've got the accounts payable.
Yes, and our accounts payable bill list tonight is $13,102,531 and a little bit of change. And if you look at the prior year, it was only like $5,821,000, but the difference in this one is we had 2 monthly payrolls along with their payroll liabilities for all the retirement. So, and we also had 3 biweekly payrolls that hit in the same time period with the,
Same 28 days.
yes,
That's amazing.
kind of. It's this date or February
Since the
meeting is
last
very late. Yes. So that's what brought that. And we had a few capital outlay that hit in this month as well, paying off the furniture and the playground equipment at Dover and the HVAC installation here at Memorial Education Center and also the turf installation at the high school. So those are all in the same bill list.
I'd make a motion that we pay our bills as presented. Second.
Motion by Derek, second by Donnie. Any discussion? Please vote.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that motion passes. Okay, next up, capital expenditures for 23-24.
Yes, as Dave's walking up here, like, taking care of our kids and taking care of our staff, big part of that is taking care of the facilities that they're in. So every year, there's a tour of the schools that Dave does, and in the past, Dr. Skeda, and this year I did. Always exciting when I was a principal when that happened, but now it's in a bigger picture, and so the needs and wants list is much bigger than what it was when I was doing it. So, but obviously, when we get this large list, you really look at safety priorities and maintenance are the 2 keys we look at as a prioritized list as we go. And looking at Jim Hallenshell's safety audit he does every other year is another big piece of that. So trying to capture all those pieces and try to do what's best for everyone in the district, for all the buildings, to try to give everyone something, but obviously using safety and security first and, maintenance as a piece of that as well. So I'd like to give a big thank you to Dave and Alicia and all the craftsmen and everything they do to keep our facilities going great. And not only as they're working on this project, still doing the day-to-day operations that they need to do as well. So a big thank you to them. And with that, I'll let Dave take over for the fun parts.
Okay. I have found in my time here that the longer I'm here, the shorter the time seems to be in between each time I come to present capital outlay to you. It feels like it's months in between rather than a full year. We compiled our list after visiting with district principals and directors. Approximately 270, 280 different projects were requested for a total of $21+ million in their request. We were able to work through that list to address the largest needs that we had. And we're bringing to you a list this evening that includes several different items totaling $5,256,556 for request. Similar to last year in the amount of the budget, there are some high-level things that we're going to be taking care of. And we're excited about being able to fund those and to meet those, including, as we've talked about before, the water lead testing that we're going to be mandated by the state, and all school districts in the state will have to be taken care of. And so those items are all included in the list that you have there. And at this time, I can answer any questions if you have those.
I'm glad you mentioned the lead testing because there's clarification now because of the mandatory testing, so that way our stakeholders know what that, because that's a large amount.
Yeah,
That's every point of potential consumption of the water, which is 1,800.
We adjusted that today, and we're about 1,950 currently.
Okay, so don't drink from the hose. And so it's, and every district is going through it. It was passed by legislature, and now we've got to do it starting in 2024.
And that's just to keep our kids safe. I understand.
Yeah, it is a safety issue, but it comes at a time with a lot of red tape that we'll have to jump through and not any funding. So I'm glad that we find ourselves with Joplin schools to be able to absorb that and take care of our kids.
On the line item for buses, how many buses are?
That would be 6 buses. That's 5 standard buses and 1 wheelchair lift bus.
What's the approximate age of the fleet now?
I haven't checked with Justin, but I think we're around the 14-year mark. And we generally try to stay, for the past several years, we've tried to stay in that 13 to 15 years on the cycle.
What's the mileage that you look at before you turn a bus?
We typically look at the age, the mileage as they're combined, and also the service records that we're having to put into those buses. Most of the time when we're turning buses, they're generally in that 120 to 130,000 mile range.
How many years would that be about?
That would be about 15 years.
One question I have, just because I don't drive a diesel truck anymore because of all the regulations, but what are we finding with the vehicles, the new buses with the DEF systems and the way the buses start and stop? Are the buses coming with the DEF system?
Yeah, the buses are, I believe this is the 4th or 5th year that we purchased buses with the DEF system. I've not heard any complaints, nor any challenges that were received other than some of the additional cost and trying to set up a DEF station that will service, because to start with, we just had a few, and now we're beginning to increase the number of those in our fleet. And so looking at the long-term ability to supply that DEF load.
I'm kind of interested because of the start and stop, and I had a new truck that had, and when it goes where it has to recycle or whatever, regen. And I'm wondering, how are we doing that, or how are the drivers doing that when it goes into a regen? Because it's bad to go back to an idle because you want it to burn off.
Yeah.
So how are we dealing with that?
Yeah, typically on the dash of the bus, you have 3 levels of warning that it gives you. And so during my time as transportation director, I can only think of 2, maybe 3 occasions over the course of 5 or 6 years where we actually had a bus that pulled up that would shut down and run the regen on itself because it had got to that point.
Goes limp mode.
Right. So most of the time you can choose to schedule when you run that regen. And so you can do it at a time when you don't have students on the bus. You'll be getting a minor warning that you have out there. Sometimes you can take them out on the interstate
and run them
and blow the cobwebs out, so to speak, but get them up to a high rate of speed, which, that in-town driving is
tough.
It's tough on them. And so we'll do that. But when it comes time, we're generally good about trying to schedule when that regen is run so that it burns off all that off that filter. And generally, it's not been an issue.
I guess one thing that I think in all districts are probably going to have to look at, because you see a lot of ambulance services are going back to gas ambulances because of that. And I'm wondering, one, what the longevity would be if we ever had to experience that going to gas. Do you have any comparison at all, or have we even remotely thought about that?
I know that Justin's been looking into, he's looked at electric, he's looked at propane, he's looked at gas, he's looked at all those as the technologies change and as they become more efficient or more problematic, if there are more hoops to jump through to take care of it, like DEF would. So I know he's continually trying to keep that on his plate and look at that. It's been since, I think our last gas bus was a 1998 or 99, and it's been several years since we've had one of those in the fleet. So, but always keeping the opportunities open for the technology and where's most efficient for the kinds of driving that we do both in town as well as travel buses.
Just to note, if you ever have one that goes down in the exhaust pole, if someone called me, I will look at it. Because I'm familiar with all the DEFs and all. So I'd like to see what the exhaust looks like.
Okay.
of those.
Dave, are any of these,
How many electric buses do we have?
0.
We do not have any.
We did put in for one when there was a program that came by, years ago?
I believe it was 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
and have not seen it yet.
Dave, are any of these buses air conditioned that we have coming in?
Typically, we air condition the special education buses, especially the wheelchair lift buses, but they've been trying to bring some of those buses in because you can cycle those both for trip buses that generally take place during warmer temperatures of the day, but also with our special education students. We have several students whose IEP requires that you have them on an air conditioned bus.
I know we had some trips in August and September, and it was 95 to 100, and they're at 3 in the afternoon, or an hour more. That's people say you can roll the windows down, but it's still 96 degrees. So
Still toasty.
we just put a sauna, and they all lost about 4 pounds on the way back. But I'd love to see us maybe slowly bring a few more air conditioned buses if we're able to. I think it really help our trips, especially during the heat of summer.
And I think for cycling forward, the cost of maintaining one on that large of the bus is probably,
Not cheap.
I mean, the refrigerant cost and things like that.
Typically, adding air conditioning to a bus can add somewhere between $14,000 to $17,000 for the cost of bus. And the upkeep, of course, on that after the fact.
One last question, and we'll move on. Is it, when they're doing air conditioning, is it the same, and I can't remember what they're called, that they put in for like over-the-road drivers to run on a small generator in the cab, in the sleeper when they're sleeping at night where they have heat and air? Is that what they are, or are they running off the engine?
No, they're larger scale. To the best of my knowledge, those are larger scale and they're running off the engine.
They are.
I think if we invest 15,000 in some air conditioning, it lasts 15 years. It's about 1,000 a year.
It won't, though. Those things become a major problem years down the road, and it will eat you up in maintenance. First it's the compressor, then it's everything else.
It's when you have a failure, it's not a small failure, even on a regular car. When it fails, and the bigger engines, it's expensive. That $15,000 is a repair when you have a failure.
Engine progression.
Air
cost ISB.
expensive.
It's a good idea. Hey, just one comment I have is, you look through this, and this is, a lot of this is maintenance capital, and it's regular things that wear out over time. And, as a board and as the administration, we talk about, for example, the field replacements. We did the exercises, say, hey, should it be grass? Should it be turf? What's the better return? We see that not only at 650,000, but we did the work to say artificial turf is the way to go. That's the right play, the right call, the right $1,000. And then when you see like on the lighting and the HVAC, well, you don't let those lighting as a return because it's LED, so they're energy efficient. There's usually a rebate that goes with those also. So there's a better return on that. Same thing with the HVAC and that. And before you repair them, replace those things, they become more efficient. So it helps you on some of the maintenance stuff on the other side. I just want to call that out because it's a large number, but a lot of this, it's just wear and tear over time, and it's pretty normal.
Right.
But it's, I just thought it'd be worth calling that out, that we've done some of the legwork and work behind that. And Matt and yourself and the team have done a good job on that.
I'm glad you said, how often are we going to have to do that lead testing?
Lead testing, we have to do an initial testing of all of the sites, and then depending on the return of those tests, most of those have to be tested every 5 years. The tests that rise above the 5 parts per billion, that is the line that they've given us to stay better than. We have to retest those after remediation within a year.
So is that true in the new school like Dover? There's no lead in the school. Do we still to check the water?
There's some exemption for things after 2014, but we still have to do initial test.
And is it a cost savings on the lead testing? Only because I'm certified, but is it in the district's best interest to get the equipment to do the testing or no?
We've been discussing that. I think for our initial testing, currently Mr. Harding and I are working on writing an RFP to put out for the initial testing. There's been a lot of scary numbers that have been floating around school districts as far as cost per test, but we're finding that may be a little high. And so we are working, matter of fact, we've got a meeting with a company this week to begin discussing that.
I
Let
think
the
$20 a test is probably the right number to come in. I think he's listening.
And we're also working with,
Yeah.
we're also working with surrounding districts to, maybe we can get like a package deal, where somebody's gonna come in to say, hey, you can hit, you know, obviously they want us because we're the big one, but there's some area schools around that you can hit too, and try to get a package deal, try to get the cost down.
My thanks to Matt and Dave for their work on this, and I would move to approve the capital outlay budget for the fiscal year 2023, 2024.
Second.
All right, motion by Riley, second by Downey. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, appreciate it. Next up, Dr. Shell, budget adjustments.
Yes, tonight we're bringing our second revision of the year for our budget. The budget is a fluid document as we progress through the year, and more information is available than when we first brought the budget to you last June. Tonight we're bringing budget adjustments related to additional grants that have been received, release of carryover from our prior year on title funding, purchase of real estate that was previously approved by the board, and along with few adjustments related to the increase of cost due to inflation or other items. So if we look at our expenditures, we have grants in the amount of $159,091 that we've received. Franklin Tech got a couple of grants. Adult education received some additional funding this year as well, $27,000. And the supply chain grant, that was actually the revenues received last year for our food service. And but all the expenditures were not made until this year. They were still expending out some of that. Title and McKinney-Vento carryover funds were released. And some of those budget revisions were around $337,611. We also had early childhood special ed expense substitutes, and we did add a classroom there, and also some professional development that is going to take place in that building. We had a technology budget increase of $10,000 for anticipated increase in software maintenance rates. We are seeing several of those fees go up as we're progressing through the year and looking at next year renewals. Also, ESSER 3 expenditures, we moved some items there that would qualify for ESSER 3, so I've adjusted the budget a little bit on that as well. And then I already mentioned the real estate. The revenue adjustments, we had an adjustment of $1,997,161 due to increased investment interest rates. Also, carryover funding of the budget from title and homeless funds of $261,000. We received some HERF funds at Franklin Tech adult side, $140,000. Early childhood reimbursements that came in from last year's expenditures were $116,735 more than originally anticipated. We're also seeing a increase in our Medicaid, which I have to commend the Student Services Department. They're working hard to make sure that we are trying to capture all of that money that is available. And then additional grants that were awarded. So if you look at the net increase to our budget is $2,264,224, which would make our general fund projected to be ending at $41,156,779, with the unrestricted part is $39,227,20. And debt service is projected to be a little over $9 million, and capital projects $20,593,494. And so the page 4 there then shows the actual balance sheet. And then there's pages 5 and 6 show each individual function that and by fund and function of the changes to each line item in the budget. Page 7 is a comparison by year. I think that was asked for last time, so I've got that in there to show that differences. And then page 8 shows our estimated revenue revisions.
So I would make a motion to approve the budget adjustments as presented by Shelley, and thank you.
I'll second.
Yeah, so a motion by John, second by Derek, and thank you for everybody that's watching. increasing the budget means we have more revenue coming in than expenses. Spend more, just that's it.
But look, you called out the interest adjustments and that's been huge and all the credit in the world goes to you and your team with how you've managed that because that's something that did not exist before, but that's additional dollars back to the school district. So we all owe you a thank you on that and well done.
Says all colleagues. Yeah, 100%.
All right, please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, that motion passes. Okay, next up, someone new, Dr. Maloney. And,
Actually, it's me. This is one of the guys, come on up. I'll let Ms. Scholl and Dr. G come up.
He
But
fought me and I said fine.
I never thought in a million years I'd be learning so much about band uniforms. It's kind of exciting. So big thank you to Ms. Scholl, our band director, and Dr. G and Gigi Mathis especially, and the band students and the patrons that were all a part of this monumental task because it's a lot. And I didn't realize there was so much that went into band uniforms. So I'm very excited for them to present this to you and hopefully moving forward with some new band uniforms.
I was not, I haven't done this process before either, so it was kind of eye-opening experience for me as well, and just all the details that we had to go through. As you know, we had to go through that RFP process, so we did end up getting four bids from companies. So we had one from FJM, DeMolin, Stanberry, and then the tech company based out of Florida. Kind of going off of the quality recommendations and kind of the price point, we're hoping to go with the FJM. And do we have a picture of the design available?
Did it make it? Did I fail to send that? I apologize.
It looks really sharp.
It's nice.
If you want, I can pass it around on my phone. I do have a version of it. But one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we had after talking with Dr. Saketa is we wanted to make sure that the primary color was red or maroon. And so on the jacket on the right side is going to kind of have like an ombre kind of look. So it's going to have that color kind of fading down. It's going to have various blues and some silver kind of tied in. I can put my phone out here if you guys would like. You're going to get that, okay? But I do want to thank the board for even entertaining the idea of getting new uniforms after hearing everybody talk about how much money we're saving. Now I'm asking you to spend some. It's a little.
So now's the balance, but.
Yeah.
I hear they're washable.
This is for a good cause.
Yeah.
They are washable.
Yes, they are.
They are, yes, they are machine washable, and that was one of the biggest things is if a kid at a competition accidentally gets a grass stain on it, they can take that home and launder it. And so that not a lot of companies do offer that. Yeah, most of them are dry clean only. So, and I've used FJM before at my previous school, and those uniforms still look, I think they're going on season 12 or 13 right now, and they still look brand new.
How many seasons do we try to get out of this?
Ideally, most uniforms it's about that 10-year mark. So if we can go a little bit further than that, that would be fantastic.
I assume the uniforms that we're replacing came in 2012.
Yeah.
Right after the tornado.
Yeah.
After the tornadoes.
That's exactly right.
David, I'll second whatever motion.
I'll make a motion.
The plan is the students don't get to take these home. They stay in the band room after they're done. So that's another part of the reason why they stay so nice.
Well, I want to say, first and foremost, thank everybody that's worked hard on this. And I know there's a lot of people around the table who are very interested in what this looks like. We now have the photo of what the uniform will look like up on the board. So anyone that wants to look at that before we make our motion. But we like to spend our money on good things, and this is a worthy cause. And no matter how much we save, we still have to take care of our students at the end of the day, and that's what matters. So thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the band uniforms and appreciate your efforts. In 1 year, you made a big difference, so thank you.
Huge difference.
Second.
By Derek, second by, I'm sorry, motion by David, second by Derek. Yeah. Any more discussion?
Sorry, I jumped out in front of you, but I want to make sure you got that.
It does look like this particular quote included some articles that the others did not. Is that right?
Yes, I think the only addition that we were adding is we're going to have the eagle head on the right sleeve compared to the others. And I think the difference was only a couple of $1,000 difference just to have that put on there, but we wanted to make sure that we included that.
And it's still one of the better bids as well.
It is, yes.
All right, please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. I think that motion passes. Next up.
Thank you so much.
Dr.
Thank
Wong,
you.
Thank you.
something tonight?
Yeah, so I'm bringing this evening first and second grade core phonics material. And so this is something that we have talked a lot about intervention. We talked a lot about becoming systematic when those kids hit that tier 2 level. We're looking to closely align what's happening in our tier 1 in our classrooms where all kids are served in that setting. So this is just a supplement to the work that we're currently doing. This will serve approximately 1,000 kids between the 2 grade levels. We have, what you don't see here that you'll see in a later item at another meeting is the professional development plan, because that is for K2 collectively. We've worked really closely with principals on that. So one of the big things is getting things ready for these teachers before next fall. So we have something as early as August with one of our PD opportunities, and then some May visits with some modeling from our team at 95% with some of these lessons, and then into even summer. We know we'll have some late hires of some offerings that we're going to do with those teachers over summer. So we've worked really hard to put together a pretty systematic plan. Aligning our classroom instruction to our intervention, we believe is going to have a huge shift in moving those numbers forward as we continue to work. Because our goal is 95% of our kids are proficient by the end of second grade. So this was just another step in that direction. And I would ask for your approval this evening on core phonics for first and second.
I'd make a motion that we approve the core phonics as presented. I do have one question. Is this something that we've used before and that's why it wasn't bid? Is it a program we're using?
So core is for the classroom teacher. The material we've been using is for the intervention teacher.
Okay.
So that's why it's coming as a new item.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
All right, motion by Derek, second by David. Discussion?
Just the only comment I would make is, as Sarah, you and I have talked about this, I think this is such a key foundational building block for young students. And I think it helps that engagement, it helps that stickiness, it avoids that frustration of, I don't understand it, I can't learn. And I think kids probably tune out as the grades get further advanced because they don't have that skill set. So I'm a big believer in this, and I believe it is showing results, and I think it will work, and it'll help all of our students at that younger age group, definitely.
My only concern with it is $6,200 for shipping. I mean, I go pick that from Chicago.
Yes.
Road trip? Take my truck and trailer?
Please vote.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that motion passes. All right, then we got the school calendar next.
Yes, so you have before you this evening the recommendation for the school calendar for next year. The calendar committee reviewed 5 different proposed calendars from administration. The details within the data, we specifically called out. If you remember last May, we brought an amendment to clear up what does this look like for the longevity of the school year when we're talking about potential inclement weather days. So we've tried to put all of that into one action item for this year to make sure communication is really clear. Next year's calendar is really landlocked with how holidays are falling. The thing that you will notice that is a pretty significant difference than what we've had the past few years is equaling out semesters. So you will see the priority was still keeping 2 weeks at winter break was still a major priority from our staff. So you'll see that late start date in January. Kids do not come back until January 9th. So that is a little later than typical of what we've seen. Next year, just projecting 2 years out, when we have looked at those calendars, that will start to come back to a little more reasonable date after the first of the year. So I would present to you this evening the school calendar for 23-24.
I'd make a motion that we adopt the 2023-2024 school calendar as Sarah has presented it.
Second.
Motion by Derek, second by Don. Discussion?
I just want to add, and I appreciate you doing this. This is the second year now, but under letter C, number 8, if school is out for an extended period of time, that they'll be considered forgiven days, or they could be. And so teachers and students can plan accordingly at the end of the school year. And I just think that's just amazing for our staff. And
Yeah, we've tried to be really explicit, and we did that this current school year. And I think the communication, we're a large system, so communication, we can never do enough of it. And so I think just trying to clean that up has been really helpful.
Adding a note about the AMI days first on there, getting everybody on the same page, because inevitably the first time we go to use it, people are surprised. I think more people, like, we print it off, have it on the bulletin board at home, but if it's on there, then they don't have to look for a separate, oh, what do we do in case of? So thank you for putting that there.
And knock on wood, we're done with winter. On this beautiful day.
That's great.
All right, please vote.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that motion passes. Okay. Justin, policy reading, first and final?
This is a first and final policy reading. This was just a clerical update from policy. As I work through policy with our staff, and I come across things that need correction, we take to MSBA and get their opinion. This was one that's just an update to make policy reference the collective bargaining agreement. So I found a discrepancy in there, and so I wanted to bring this to the board so that our policy matches the collective bargaining agreement. Per state law, collective bargaining agreement trumps policy, but it just is a practice of Joplin schools to try to have those to where they match each other. I think it's just easier for staff. And actually we're entering the bargaining season now. One of our presidents is here at one of the unions. We're getting ready to enter into that time. And so it's interesting when we do adopt that practice to bring that to board policy, all the employees, even if they're not a member of the union, actually get some of that bargaining because they get some of the same rights that we do. So this was just a clarification of something that we had bargained that I wanted policy to reflect. So it's basically just about our internal transfers process.
I make a motion to approve as Justin has explained.
I'll second.
Motion by Derek, second by Brent. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, that motion passes. Okay, finally, pluses and analysis. What do we got?
Yeah, plus I love the role playing of Abraham Lincoln by Kalen Butler. That's absolutely awesome.
Did you watch the video when he forgot his hat?
It's great.
At the end of school?
It's great.
One plus says Abigail, the first full meeting, you stuck it out. That's awesome.
Haven't fallen asleep yet?
Yeah.
Big thank you to everybody who has put together so much work, from administration to staff to teachers. There's a lot of work that goes into preparing for this and preparing for us. I just want to say thank you to all of them for the work that they do.
Especially safety. We had a safety meeting.
Yes.
That's to see the safety that goes on and everything that Matt puts together. It was a good meeting. I'm looking forward to all the new locks and everything. It was cool to see how Dover is set up. Absolutely phenomenal over there. So it's exciting to see that as we move on into the future, that our buildings are going to be kept that much more safe for our students and our staff. So I'd say thank you to Matt and everybody that's part of the.
I'm reiterating with Shelley, we look back, the interest bearing from 2010 to 2016, we earned $52,000 interest. And from 2017 to 2023, it's a little over $2 million. So it's a huge difference.
Big jump.
And a lot of that property tax that's received at the beginning of the year is not consumed until spread out through the year. So excellent job of capturing that value for our stakeholders.
Almost $1,950,000 more.
That's a huge amount.
I want to thank you to our teachers that have been trying to work with all the new curriculum and all the changes to get our scores up, and just all the challenges that COVID's left us with and transitioning out of that. So thank you to our teachers. Thank you for the hard work you do. And thank you to our staff that's working hard on our scores and phonics and all the things you bring. So thank you for that.
Echoing what David said, I think it's great that we continue with this realignment of our curriculum and what that looks like as we look forward to continuing to build and grow our MAP scores in a positive direction as a district. So my hat's off to those individuals. I hear many good things about our shift to phonics from our staff who are actually implementing it, because it's very easy to talk about those things here in a boardroom, but once it gets down into the more micro level in the classroom, if our teachers are happy in doing so, then our kids are probably going to be positively affected. So my thanks to you for that. And last but not least, it's exciting that our band students will, after almost 12 years, have brand new uniforms to be able to use. That's great. I know David's been passionate about that, and many others as well at the table. But that is a very big win for us as we continue to grow and invest in our band program.
I like to go down because my son's in the band and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the new uniforms.
Yeah.
I like watching them.
And I hear they're not as hot as the other ones.
Well, the last couple of times, it's been freezing cold, you know,
Was
on
in-
the parades and stuff, so I'm looking forward to that. Matt, I'd make a motion to adjourn if anybody has any.
One question, does somebody have a birthday today?
Sunday.
Sunday, all right.
Sunday,
So
somebody
Carrie has a
does.
birthday this weekend.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
But they celebrated today.
Yeah, well,
All week.
we can't get everything right.
It's not-
Anyway, no, it was very nice. It was overdone. Let's put it that way. Many thanks to everybody.
So motion by
I would second, but I want to add also for a plus, just Casey's presentation for Franklin Tech. I love hearing a couple of these phrases. I wrote them down: apprenticeships, industry partnerships, kids out in the community, and all within the current framework of what we have at Joplin High School and Franklin Tech. I just think that's music to my ears.
And you saying that, I just did an inspection for a gentleman that asked if we had any students that wanted to work at the dialysis center over the summer. And if they stuck with it, they would pay for 2 years of nursing school. So I'm going to get with Sarah and some people over at the JAG program, because I think that would be a phenomenal, that would just be something that get our kids involved in. That was yesterday, putting signs out, so.
All right, so there was almost a motion by Darren. and
It's full
almost a
motion,
second by
you know, I'm not backing up on that, it's a full
All right.
motion.
Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, we're adjourned. Thank you. And board members, we're going to take a picture.